Hello students. Welcome to this video tutorial on adding integers supernote. We're going to look at Part A, Method 1, integer tiles. So let's start with the note. When adding integers with tiles, we must remember to combine tiles. So this is going to be very important when we work with integer tiles. Okay? So these are the steps. Number 1, draw the first integer. Number 2, draw the second integer beside or underneath the first integer. Number 3, circle and take away any zero models. Number 4, redraw what remains, which will be your answer. And number 5, conclusion statement. Okay, let's have a look at example 1. So we've got positive 2 plus positive 3. And you see I've got an OR here. So as we're working through these questions, I want to introduce the concept of standard form. When we first learn integers, it's nice to put brackets around all the integers because they're easy to focus on and concentrate on. But as we get more and more comfortable with integers, we start to take away the brackets. So generally the rule is, whenever we have a positive integer, we take away the brackets and we take away the positive sign. So positive 2 actually in standard form is just written as 2. We have the addition operation here, that doesn't change. And the second integer is positive 3. So again, the rule is we try to take away the brackets and the positive sign for a positive integer. So this is actually just simply 2 plus 3, which is a very simple addition question. Okay, so before we look at any of these steps, let's use our integer tiles. So I want you to make sure that you've got out your integer tiles. Make sure you start with a pile of positive and a pile of negative. So let's look at the first integer, positive 2. So I'd like you to build that model in front of you. Let's bring over 2 positive tiles and place them in front of you there. Okay? So remember, when we're adding integers with tiles, we must combine the tiles. So let's have a look at the second integer. The second integer is positive 3. So let's combine positive 3 integers with positive 2 integers. So as we bring over positive 3 integers here, I want you to build that model in front of you. Okay. So we've combined the two integers together. Now what are we left with? We're left with positive 5. Very simple. Okay, so it's very simple to use the tiles. So now, how do we translate that into a tile diagram solution? Okay, so here's where we use our steps. Okay, so let's look at step 1. Step 1, we draw the first integer. So that's what we did here. So using your pencil now, let's draw the first integer. We have positive 2 right here. Okay? Step number 2, draw the second integer beside or underneath the first integer. Now this is very important, beside or underneath. Now in this case, I place the tiles beside them. And there's going to be a reason why. We're going to discover why there's a difference between adding the tiles beside or underneath. So in this case, I'm going to draw the positive 3 beside the positive 2. Okay, so there's step 1, there's step 2. Step 3, circle and take away any zero models. Well, are there any zero models here? No, there are not, so we don't need to take anything away. Redraw what remains. Okay, so when we redraw what remains to show the solution, we use this kind of arrow here. And when we redraw what remains is 5 positive tiles. Okay, and then because it's the solution, I also want you to put the integer answer here, positive 5. 5 positive tiles in our diagram, positive 5 in our solution. Now, our conclusion statement. Therefore, our question was positive 2 plus positive 3 equals positive 5, or simply in standard form, 5. If it's a positive integer, we like to take away the brackets. we like to take away the positive sign. Okay, so we did a lot in that first question. We built the tile models in front of us, then we did the tile solution. Okay, so let's go on to number 2. Let's start with the tile model first using our integer tiles. So our first integer is -3. So we get to use some negative integers, chips now, negative integer tiles. So let's bring over 3 negative tiles and place them all in a line. 3 integer tiles. Okay? And then we combine it with the second integer. The second integer is +4. So as you bring over your +4 integer tiles, are you going to place them beside or underneath? What do you think? Okay, so let's bring over our 4 positive tiles. Now, hopefully you answered that you're going to place them underneath, and there's a very good reason why we're going to place them underneath. Okay? So, next, we identify any zero models. So, in this case, there are 3 zero models, and then we're going to take them away. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to simply grab the 3 zero models, the 3 negative tiles, and I'd like you to take them off of your tile model. Okay, so I'm going to just move these out of the way. It's going to take me a lot longer to do that than it will for you. So I've taken away 3 negative tiles and 3 positive tiles, 3 zero models. And then whatever remains is going to be our answer. So hopefully our answer is going to be +1. Okay, so let's switch over now. Okay, now what we forgot to do is we forgot to rewrite the question in standard form. So whenever we have a negative integer, if it's the first integer, we would like to take away the brackets. Now we can't take away the sign, -3, because it's a negative integer. We have an addition operation here. This can't change. And then remember, if we have a positive integer, we like to take away the brackets and the positive sign. So this is how we would rewrite the question in standard form, -3 plus 4. Okay, so let's start with our tile diagram solution. So rule number 1, draw the first integer. Okay, so our first integer was -3. Okay. Step number 2, draw the second integer beside or underneath the first integer. Now, we already kind of hinted at when we draw the positive tiles, we want to draw them underneath. And that is simply because we recognize that zero models will be created, and we like to line up the zero models on top of each other. Now, +4, I've drawn 4 positive tiles. Number 3, circle and take away any zero models. So what I want you to do is, I want you to circle, this time, all 3 zero models with one loop. Normally, in the past, we've circled each individual zero model, but for these questions, I want you to circle all zero models with one loop, and then I want you, very importantly, to draw this arrow to show that they're being taken away. Now, unlike the tiles that we can just move off of our area, we can't just move a diagram off the page. Okay? All right, so now, number 4, redraw what remains, which will be your answer. So when we redraw our answer, we use this type of arrow, and whatever's left, that's going to be our solution. +1 tile is left. We'll put the answer in integer form as well. Okay? Now, our conclusion statement, step 5, therefore, -3 plus +4 equals +1. Or if we were to write it in standard form, simply just 1. Okay, are you getting the hang of this? Okay, let's go on to number 3. Now number 3 is a little bit different because now we have 3 integers that are being combined. So let's see if our rules still work. Okay, so let me switch over now. Let's use our tiles. So our first integer is -2. So let me bring over two negative tiles and line them up. Okay? The next integer that we want to combine is -3. So let's bring over three negative integers. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put the negative integer underneath a negative integer. So let's put this over here. So we have three negatives. Okay, so there's our second integer. This is our first integer, -2. This is our second integer, -3. Remember, we're combining tiles. Now, the third integer is +7. So let's bring over 7 positive tiles. So let me bring over 1. And again, now that this is a different type of tile, I'm going to place them underneath because I'm thinking ahead, right? I'm thinking, okay, I know that these are going to be 0 models. So I'll put them underneath the negative tiles. So there's 5, there's 6, and there's 7. Okay, so I've combined three integers together, -2, -3, and +7. Now, I got to stop. I got to look at my board here and I got to see, are there any 0 models? Well, yes, there are in fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 0 models. So whenever you see a 0 model, I'd like you to kind of take it away. Okay, let's take them away. So that means 5 negative tiles are going to be taken away. And again, this is going to be a lot easier for you to do than for me. But I'm going to carry through here. All right. So whatever remains should be our answer. So if we've done it right, if we've done our tile solution in a minute right, we should end up with +2. Okay. So let's go back now. I keep forgetting to rewrite our question in standard form. All right, so we're starting with a negative integer. If we start with a negative integer, we can take off the brackets. So -2 in brackets simply is -2. We have the addition statement. That's not going to change. Now, we get a negative integer that's not the first integer. So if it's not the first integer, we have to leave it with the brackets, or else it'll look like this, -2 plus -3 without the brackets. This is very confusing. Okay, this is not what we want. And then we have an addition statement, and then we're left with +7. Now remember, the rule is with positive integers, we want to get rid of the brackets and the positive sign. So we're left with +7. So this is what this statement or question looks like in standard form. Okay, let's start our tile diagram solution. All right, remember, step 1, draw the first integer. All right, so we've got -2. Step 2, draw the second integer beside or underneath the first integer. Well, the second integer is -3. So 1, 2, 3. Now remember, I didn't draw these three negatives below because they're the same sign as the first set of tiles. All right, we're going to repeat step 2, draw the third integer beneath or underneath, beside or underneath the first two integers. So now we've got +7. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Now we're done combining all the integers. We're done drawing all the integers. So now we reflect and we see, are there any 0 models? Well, we already know there are because we built the tile model in front of us. There are, in fact, 5 0 models that I need to show you to show me that they are being taken away with this arrow here. All right. So step number 4, redraw what remains. We draw this arrow, and what are we left with? We're left with 2 positive tiles. And because it's the answer, we want to put the integer as well. Okay. Concluding statement, therefore, -2 plus -3 plus +7 equals +2, or in standard form, because it's a positive integer, just 2. Okay, so let's go on to the final example. Okay, all right, let's rewrite this statement or this question in standard form. So 0, simply, we just take the brackets off. Okay, 0 is a special integer in that it does not have a sign. We have an addition. Okay, the next integer is positive, so we take away the brackets, we take away the positive sign. Then we have another addition. The third integer is also positive, take away the brackets, take away the sign. Addition. The next integer is a negative integer, and because it's not the first integer in our question, we have to keep the brackets, and of course we have to keep the sign negative, and then plus, and then the last integer is also a negative integer, so we have to keep the brackets and -1. So that is how we would rewrite this question in a standard form. Okay, so let's begin with our tile solution. Okay, so put your pencils down. Let's start with the first integer. Well, the first integer is 0. Okay, so what are we supposed to do with that integer? Well, there are a couple of strategies. You can simply leave this area blank, or you can use a 0 model. Okay, so how about that? Okay. All right, so let's go to the second integer. Let's combine it with the second integer. The second integer is +2. So let me line up +2 here. The third integer is also +2. So let me put 2 more positives in this line here. The next integer is -3. So let's combine that with 3 more negative tiles. 1, 2, 3. And then finally, we're left with the last integer, which is -1, which is right here. Okay, so we've built and combined all of the integers together. Now we have to look for 0 models. Well, something very interesting happens with this question, doesn't it? Well, we're left with 5 0 models, and if we take them all away, clear them off your board, then we're left with 0. We're left with nothing. Okay? All right, so I'm not going to clear this because it's going to take me a long time. So let's go right to our tile solution. Here we go. So the first integer, 0. So how about we just leave this 0? Or if we wanted to build it exactly the way we did with the tiles, let's do it that way then. I started that way, I might as well continue that way. Okay, that's the first integer, 0. +2. Okay, 1, 2 positive tiles. +2 again. 1, 2 positive tiles. The third integer is -3. So 1, 2, 3 negatives. And then the last integer is -1. Right there. Okay, so then we stop. We've done combining and building all of our integer tiles. So now let's look for 0 models. And as mentioned, this is a very unique question in which the entire answer is a 0 model. And we're going to take the entire diagram away. Make sure you show that arrow there. Okay, so what remains? Let's draw that arrow to the right. And what remains is simply 0 or integer of 0. Okay, now you can leave this area blank, but it kind of looks funny. It kind of looks like maybe you didn't have an answer there. So you can just put a 0 with a line through it. Okay, so let's do our conclusion statement. 0 plus +2 plus +2 plus -3 plus -1 equals 0. Okay? So I hope this made a little bit of sense. If you can visualize the tiles in your head, it's going to make adding integers a whole lot easier. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Part A, Method 1, Integer Tiles. Bye.